everyone, and welcome to the Burgess podcast, the show where we are opening up conversations about life at sea, discussing hot topics within the industry, as well as offering mental health support and promoting well-being for crew. We also have our very own in-house recruitment team, so if you or anyone you know is currently looking for a new position, please send your updated CV to recruitment@burgessyachts.com or check out our recruitment posts on Instagram @Burgess Yacht Crew. Hi everyone, and welcome to today's podcast where we're taking a deep dive into the ever-evolving world of social media. To help us, we are really thrilled to be joined by intuitive eating therapist Elle Mace, who is also a renowned nutrition and diet specialist. Together, we're unpacking the ways in which social media influences our lives, particularly when it comes to our relationship with body image and authenticity. In a world where our screens are filled with picture-perfect moments and airbrushed realities, it's crucial to understand the impact this has on our well-being. Elle brings a wealth of expertise to the table, and today we're going to have a candid conversation about how we can navigate this digital landscape in a way that fosters a healthier and more authentic existence. Hi Elle, how are you?
I'm good, very well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, really good. Thank you so much for joining us, Elle. You know, I have really been looking forward to this chat because social media is such a big topic and one that affects, I would say, most of us. You know, most of us use social media in some way or another. And on the whole, I think it's fair to say that when used well, it's a fun way of staying connected with friends and family. But I think it's also fair to say that our use of social media has become very consuming and isn't always used in the most positive way.
Yeah, when used well, it can be really effective. It can be really beneficial for individuals, whether that is just connecting with others like friends and family or whoever, or gaining knowledge, gaining insight of like important things, because a lot of people do use it to give information. I know certainly for my social media, I'm constantly talking about things that are informative. And also, we do get some people who do share a bit more of the reality of life. So you have some, influencers now who are sharing the difficulties in, say, motherhood, or the difficulties in anything, confidence, or whatever it is. So actually there are, it's improving in some ways, but it's also not improving in other ways.
Yeah. So do you think it's becoming a more honest space?
It's very difficult to say. I think, yes, from when it first started, because Facebook started so many years ago as that connection, especially for people at university. It kind of started out in that way. And then we had Instagram, and Instagram was originally just imagery, just photos, aesthetically pleasing photos, which quite quickly has escalated to that kind of perfect life and all that. So I would say we are at a turning point. It is getting slightly better. There are people who are trying to be a bit more honest on there, but there is obviously still the original purpose of posting aesthetically pleasing stuff.
When did filters start being used on social media? When were they introduced?
Yeah, do you know what? I feel like it's really recent, but actually time flies. It's probably a couple of years now that filters have been around, which has been, in my personal opinion, a nightmare, because it started off with the comical filters of being able to put, dog's ears in your head and stuff, and then has escalated now to looking, flawless. And now most people are using filters, and occasionally you do see influencers or marketeers or whoever saying like hashtag no filter needed and that sort of stuff. But it's rare that you find those accounts, and actually people are feeling like they can't post now without a filter.
Yeah. My friends' daughters who are in their teens are using filters, and their skin is flawless. They are beautiful, and they still feel that need to use filters, which is mind-blowing, isn't it? And as their mum and myself, when the filters first came out, we started playing with them just to see how much of a change we could make to our appearance. And we did not recognise ourselves by the end of it. You could literally enlarge your lips, change your eyebrows, define your cheekbones, change the colour of your eyes. It's incredible what you can do with these filters.
Yeah, the photo editing. I mean, that photo editing has been around a long time. And actually, that's what it kind of started off as, probably now, 4 or 5 years ago, where you could kind of whiten your teeth a little bit more. You could change your body shape slightly. And then these filters came out, which gave you a complete transformation. You hear it a lot in the kind of dating world, these people on the dating apps. People are using these really filtered photos, and then when, when people meet up in reality, it's not quite what they signed up for.
No, and there is the light-hearted side to it, and it is obviously a lot of fun, but obviously there is a dark side to it as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's been taken too far now. I think, like, originally it was supposed to be a bit of fun, and it was. We've all sat there and done those funny faces with our kids and stuff, and it does give you 5 minutes of giggles, but actually they're being used all the time now. And I mean, when I say you can't really tell what's reality and what's not, actually you can. You quite quickly look at someone's photo and see that isn't reality, but that doesn't mean that people are looking at these photos and going, ah, I know I like the way she looks, but it's not reality. People are looking at these photos and thinking, I'm not as attractive as that. She looks in a certain way. I need to look like that way. So even if they're really honest with themselves and they bring those thought processes to the forefront, they will probably know that it's not real. But people aren't allowing themselves to think like that. They're just seeing what they're seeing in these pictures and then going straight into comparison.
Yeah, and that's where the danger lies, isn't it? Because I guess we then fall into the trap of feeling that we're not good enough, that we should be dressing like her or doing this or going there. We're just not good enough, are we? We can't meet these expectations that are being set.
Yeah, these completely unrealistic expectations. And unfortunately, with social media, there is growth in these accounts which are, looking a certain way. And so, therefore, that is just us reinforcing that our worth is on how we look. Now, society has drilled this into us anyway for the last 20, 30, 40 years. But actually, now with social media, it's just reinforcing it, even though it's not even real. Like, we're seeing these let's just talk about women. And we're seeing these women who are in these bikinis, they're influencing clothes or whatever, and they've got these hundreds and hundreds of followers. So whether it's subconsciously or consciously for people, that is reinforcing that she is worthy because she is a certain size and she looks a certain way. Actually, it's just the toxic name of the game of social media.
Do you think, there's this culture of perfection and the lives that we feel like we should be living when comparing ourselves to others? Are we, why are we doing it? Are we just looking for acceptance? Are we just looking for validation?
Yeah, looking for that validation. Am I on the right track? Am I where I should be? Should I be further on? But I'm not even sure people are searching for that validation. I think it's more that people are kind of torturing themselves with thinking that they're not where they should be because others are further ahead. There's this kind of, have you heard of the midlife crisis, the typical midlife crisis? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's now like the quarter life crisis, which is for people that are around 20 to 30, which has really been like boosted by social media. And that is where people of that age group are feeling anxious, they're feeling depressed, they're feeling low mood because they are questioning all of their decisions already. So they're questioning whether they should have gone to university or their other friends are there or they've been traveling. Should they have done that? And so, when they should be free and getting out there, there's all of these questions and feeling completely overwhelmed with exactly where they are. And that has really come from social media.
Yeah. So, we're talking about body image at the moment, and I think it's such a big part of the conversation. Can we talk a bit about the effect social media has on our body image? I've read articles that say that 88% of women and 65% of men compare themselves to images on social media, which is frightening. That's such a frightening statistic. But also, I know I do it. I do it myself. And the frightening thing is that the photos we see are not real. We're comparing ourselves to something that doesn't exist, which is going to have an effect on people's mental health and lead people to eating disorders.
Yeah, and it's baffling, isn't it? Yeah, we do. We compare ourselves to social media because social media is so easily, readily available. Also, as human beings, we're hardwired for, to feel safe and to feel secure. So we're always looking for that validation. Are we safe? Are we okay? Are we safe? Then leads on to loved and liked. So it's very much we're looking for direction on whether we're liked and loved and safe and secure and can survive in this world. And so for a lot of us, survival is fitting in and being liked, which then leads on to being a certain size, looking a certain way. And so how do we go about making sure that we're on the right track? We have to turn to social media these days. You've got television, you've got films. They're not exactly a massive improvement. They can be, but still a lot of films are promoting all this sort of stuff. So we turn to social media, and therefore we go by what we see. And unfortunately, what we see on social media is filters, is people promoting their best lives. People make a lot of money, so people will fake it till they make it. So they will portray being wealthier, looking a certain way, wearing certain clothes. Behind the scenes, majority of these people won't be living the life that they are portraying that they are living. But it's all we see.
It is all we see. Another one of my bugbears is algorithms. Algorithms set on, Amazon, Spotify. And I was listening to a podcast earlier, and this woman was talking about how she lost her own sense of identity because she'd forgotten what she actually liked herself, because she was constantly being led by the algorithms, social media that tells you suddenly that, it's fashionable to wear or on trend to wear beige. So you feel like you have to wear beige, otherwise you're not fitting in. And Spotify that tells you what music to listen to, Amazon, what books you read. You must lose your own sense of identity. Like, who am I? What do I actually enjoy doing? Rather than listening to what other people are doing, we need to start listening to ourselves and remembering what we enjoy.
Yeah, and that comes down to like even trusting yourself. Like I think many people don't even trust themselves to check in with themselves and ask them, what do you want to wear today? How do you feel? Do you actually feel comfortable wearing this? Like again, society, social media, all of it, we've been taught kind of quite well, unfortunately, not to trust ourselves. And another part of this is especially with food. Many of us don't even trust ourselves on what to eat or how to eat, but it's the same. So we turn to external sources to give us this information. Like personal shoppers can be amazing for giving people the confidence again to wear clothes and to help them and to direct them. That's amazing. But also there's an element of like, you've probably got the answers within you. Think back to before you were manipulated by society and social media. Think back to, not necessarily what you wore when you were like 7 or 8, but before you felt such enormous pressure. What did you feel most comfortable in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, even like music, since listening to that podcast, I have actually tried thinking back to actually what music do I enjoy listening to? And I honestly can't remember. I'm having to really sit down and think to what do I enjoy?
Yeah.
Rather than being told by Spotify, don't get me wrong, of course it's great because it does inspire and, introduce you to new music, but you're not looking for your own passions anymore.
Yeah, and as you're talking, it just reminded me, I was in the hairdressers, and the girl next to me she wanted a transformation of her hair. So they were looking on Instagram at what was trending and what was going on, and they were searching the different extension brands and all the rest of it and going through, and this girl was saying, she was pointing out what was nice, what she liked, and the hairdresser, just trying to support, was saying, oh, that's risky, that's like that was, she was pulling up things that were sort of fashionable years and years ago, kind of going back to the 90s and stuff, and she was like, but I kind of like that, and the hairdresser's like, yeah, but like that it was the really dark and the really blonde bits together, and I was like, if you like it, you just go for it. But it was like a decision made against what she wants or what society might think of this hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, there's almost this, you have to conform. You have to fit into this box that, social media and society tell us that we must fit into to be accepted.
Yeah.
You can't stand out anymore. You can't think differently. You can't look different.
Yeah.
Because then you attract, which is probably the next conversation. It's a good lead on to the cyberbullying, the trolling, the negative feedback.
Yeah, no, totally. How do we manage cyberbullying and the negative comments that come with it?
Mm.
Yeah, this is it. We're not protected anymore. Social media has become so big that it's addictive for people, but it's addictive for people watching this toxic behavior as well. So there will be some people who will spend hours looking at people's controversial posts. They might not even be controversial, and just looking at the differences of opinions and what people are saying to each other. But unfortunately, it is a platform for people who are probably not very happy in themselves and are getting too much out of being mean on social media and using it as a negative platform. And there's no kind of way around it. I think if you are somebody who has got a following, who is getting different responses, then you have to make a decision as to how much is this affecting your mental health. And if you reading negative comments is affecting you, then you have to make that decision to either come off, simmer it down, or find a way of managing it. Or for some people, they've built emotional resilience and they can separate themselves. They can see that this is my social media, these are my posts, some like it, some don't, and I've learned how to not connect to the negativity. But for most people, there's this really kind of bizarre behavior which I've done a post about, but we know something's bad for us on social media, but we can't help it. So we might know that someone's really triggering us, someone's really bothering us by their appearance or by their look, maybe quite jealous, but we can't stop but watch them. And there's a lot of that going on. I'm sure as I'm talking now, every single person listening is going, oh, I do that with her. Like, I don't like her, but I watch her stuff. And so that's the same with this cyberbullying. They can't help it. People want to read it. It's entertainment for people.
Mm. So, the people that we're talking to now, a yacht crew who live in a very unique environment to the rest of us. They live together, they work together, they eat together, they socialise together. It's a very small, confined space. And online bullying is a problem. If crew are being made to feel isolated or not being included in WhatsApp groups, having messages that they've sent that are private to another crew member shared with somebody else. I mean, this is all cyberbullying, and this is all going to have such a huge impact on their mental health.
Yeah, huge impact, because there's so much that comes with all of this. If it's to do with their friends and family that are far away, if any of these crew members have any insecurities, which is really, really normal, then this social media and that sort of connection, they can so easily get swept up in it and carried away. That kind of fear of missing out, or am I still remembered at home? Like, will I come home and all these friends have made these amazing connections and they've forgotten about me and I won't be invited? And do you know what, we spoke earlier about that app house party that was going on during COVID, and I remember sat there, a house party flashed up because it was all quite new, and it said that 3 of my closest friends had gone into a room together, and I didn't know anything about it. And I was we were already all a little bit like, emotional and sensitive through COVID. But I was like, oh, this app is awful. There's people like, and it's a little bit like what you're saying, going into WhatsApp groups and not being involved. And most of it will be very, very harmless. It will be that their friends back home are arranging something on that Friday night, and therefore it's almost, they don't want to make someone feel bad that they're not there, but it can often be not perceived as that. So yeah, I think for crew members especially, with their lifestyle, with often just the age that everyone is, and sometimes first time being away from home, having a bit of a routine for yourself mentally will be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And it's interesting you talking about house party. And another article I was reading the other day was about WhatsApp messages and how that's created its own storm, for want of a better word, because it's created the paranoia of the read message. You know, the message that's been read, you can see it's been read, but they haven't answered you. And so you get upset because you haven't had that response. Why haven't they answered me? You know, is it because I've done something wrong, or that rush to answer messages quickly. We have to do everything instantly, or we get upset that something, or worried that something has happened.
Yeah, that we've done something to someone to upset them. Yeah. And that comes back to all of like our thought processes. You know, we have around about like 70,000 thoughts and feelings a day, and like 90% of them aren't even real. They're not even happening. And for some people, they're naturally more logical people, so they're much more realistic about not allowing their mind to kind of run wild. But for many people, you know, that they're not, they're more emotionally led, and therefore they do escalate things, and they do over worry. And so if you're one of those, if 90% of your 70,000 thoughts and feelings not even being real, that's where you can really convince yourself and live in this situation where a message hasn't been read because you've upset somebody. And with your crew members, you know, people at home are often going to work, they've got a bit of a social at work potentially, then they go home to a different social group, so they're busy, and there's always events because there's so many other people that have birthdays and all the rest of it. But on the boat, they've got so much more downtime with often the same people, so it's really, you know, it really is kind of downtime outside of their working hours. And it's a matter of probably sitting with your phone and, you know, trying to connect with people, and then maybe not getting the responses that they think they're going to get.
And do you think that would exacerbate that feeling of loneliness on board?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you will feel disconnected from your family. You will feel disconnected from your friends. I mean, I'm pretty confident when I say this, they will go home and nothing will have changed. They'll slot right back into normal life, you know, and people will be buzzing to see them. But often for people just back at home, it's a little bit out of sight, a little bit out of mind. It's just like we're just getting on with our daily life and everything's busy and all the rest of it. And then, you know, it's wonderful when we see you, but they're not being the ones necessarily so needy. It's the ones feeling lonely that are on the yachts with a smaller amount of connection. I mean, some of the guys on the yachts, they'll have been such a small team, and they might make a couple of really good connections, or they might not connect with anybody, you know, in that personal level where they can really talk about things. So therefore, loneliness is going to be a big problem.
So how can these crew then, there's that concern that people are missing out on the emotional connection, the scrolling through social media pages without connecting actually emotionally. How can people overcome that?
So I think firstly, like giving yourself a boundary of social media. So yes, scroll for 20 minutes of the day or whatever, but then know that you come off, delete all the people that you know are kind of winding you up and making you feel less adequate. And then make a bit of a plan for yourself. So think, okay, who can I talk to? Who out of the rest of the crew? Find someone that you can lean on to when you're not feeling so good. Because there will be someone, you know, as soon as you open up and, you know, drop your guard, others will as well. But also find that person, that one or two people at home that you know you can reach out to and say, I need a conversation every week with you because I'm feeling so disconnected. Listen to really kind of mindful podcasts, listen to really helpful podcasts. But a lot of, unfortunately, it's a lot of hard work on yourself. It's a lot of mindfulness, checking in with yourself. Affirmations are key. That kind of journaling, even just like going back to your cabin and journaling out, oh, I don't feel good today. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because there's this big party at home and I'm not there. Okay, but you know, I'm doing something really amazing that other people would definitely want to be doing. And just journaling out. You don't need to find answers when you're journaling. You just need to take out the kind of chaos from your head and dump it onto paper. And I know for me, that is enough for me to be able to go, okay, I'm good. Breath work. It's for, I know when I say this to people, they're like, oh, that's all the really hard stuff. And it takes discipline. And when you are younger, typically, it's quite hard to discipline yourself in this way because you're just so adventurous, trying to get out and all the rest of it. But my biggest personal transformation myself happened when I dedicated 10 minutes a day to doing affirmations, journaling, mindfulness, meditation, and breath work. And it was hard, but I gave it a small amount of time, but I really had some huge downloads, and it sorted me out completely.
And you don't have to spend a lot of time, like you said. It just needs to be, even if it's like a minute.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we can get caught up in reading people's routines, and it'll be half an hour meditation followed by a 45-minute yoga. No, scrap that. Even if you suddenly feel a slight anxiety or unsure, go and sit yourself in a toilet and think, I'm going to do 5 deep breaths, or I'm going to repeat, I feel safe, I am safe. Even 30 seconds of just, am I okay? Okay. Yeah. And off we go.
Yeah. So I think we need to give some tips on how to use social media in a more positive way, because it can be a positive platform. Reclaim your day, I think, is number one, definitely, for me.
Yeah, definitely. You touched on algorithms earlier, so that's true. That's what's happening. So make sure, if you're searching something, just make sure you're searching things that are really positive. Like on Instagram, for example, you can save hashtags, so their stuff comes up more. So save the hashtags of body positivity and food for fuel, or whatever it is, but set yourself some boundaries. Set that, and that's hard, and we don't do that for ourselves. We're not taught to do that at school. We're taught how to do maths, but we're not taught how to set personal boundaries, and actually that is so important. So how much time are you going to spend? Who are you going to unfollow? But yeah, there is an element of discipline for yourself, and actually that's only going to benefit you hugely in the long run. Like creating a sense of discipline and trust within yourself is only going to make you excel in life. So make your decisions and kind of stick to that.
Yeah, setting boundaries. Set time aside in your diary to unplug from social media. Stay off social media at night before bed. Don't lay in bed, scrolling. Unfollow people, like you mentioned earlier. If somebody makes you feel jealous, angry, sad, or in any way negative, cut them out of your feed.
Yeah.
It seems like such a quick fix.
Yeah, but do you know what? It has a huge positive impact when you decide, I'm going to stop looking at this account. I'm going to either unfollow it, or what can you do? You can like mute it and stuff. When you stop looking, you will see instant results. Instant. Now, I've got caught up in this with my business, where I have followed I've been watching other people who do similar jobs to me. And I think, I'm not doing enough, or my business should look like this. And when I made that decision to just outright stop looking at anyone else, even if they were friends, I was making such better, authentic decisions for me, and benefits kicked in straight away. You just have to do it.
But why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to do?
It goes back to that bit I was talking about earlier. Like we're a bit wired like this, human beings, but like we take pleasure and pain come from the same place. So we're getting pleasure, but also pain in looking at other people and other things. And we're also, sometimes we think tough love works. So if we've grown up in an environment where tough love has kind of worked in a parenting, we think it's the same for us. So if I look at these people, that will give me the motivation to go and join the gym. But actually, most of the time, tough love doesn't actually work. It's just winding us up even more. So we're almost thinking it's going to benefit us, but it really isn't.
Funny, the human brain is intense thing, isn't it? And so, just a little bit about yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about your company and how you help, what you do or can do for crew who are struggling with either body dysmorphia or social media?
Yeah, definitely. So I've got a couple of aspects to what I do. So my core training is a master practitioner in eating disorders. So that could be someone that's just dieting and dietary chaos, disordered eating. It could be a full-blown eating disorder, that low body image, body dysmorphia. I work as well in obesity and sort of weight loss you know, in a reasonable way. So I do that, and then the flip side of that is I work with positive psychology, life coaching, and I look at a lot of the neuroscience piece. So I usually incorporate them both together, because actually if you're struggling with the food in the body, you're usually struggling with everything else in life as well. So, or, you know, it's a bit chicken and egg going on. So yeah, that's what I do. I run my own business, have a variety of different things in there, from retreats to one-to-one to group to podcasts and all the rest of it. So yeah, come and follow and join the fun, and reach out if you need any support.
Fabulous. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for having me.